So Larry Wilmore did a great job at the White House Correspondents Dinner. He was pretty much fearless in prodding the powerful and making an ass of them. I don't think anybody's done this good of a job since Stephen Colbert. And it's like he went into it knowing he was going to bomb, and he was okay with that because he was kind of playing to the audience at home more than in the room, because the people in the room are stuck-up pricks. So one of his biggest targets was CNN. He did a bunch of jokes about them. I think he said about he made a drone joke to Obama, and then he said, "Speaking of drones, Wolf Blitzer, ask a follow-up question, dude. Here's who's winning. Nobody who watches the Situation Room." And Wolf Blitzer was sitting there stone-faced. He also made a joke about Don Lemon. He said, "Some of the best black journalists in the country are in this room tonight, and also Don Lemon." Alleged journalist Don Lemon, everybody. And he just fucking rips CNN to pieces. So it was a beautiful thing to watch. Again, I find it funny when people were tweeting at me saying, "Well, he wasn't funny." Well, no, you probably only believe that because you're going based off the reaction in the room. And admittedly, the reaction in the room was, "Fuck you," and it's like he bombed. But he wasn't necessarily playing to that room because he was really being harsh on them. So I think he was more playing to the audience at home and the people who would, get it and be like, yeah, fuck these people. They are assholes and they do have problems. CNN is an absolute joke nowadays. So they didn't like that very much. And we have a story that came out yesterday about how he's now banned from CNN. Oh, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. So CNN is apparently like Donald Trump. "You said something I don't like. I will now ban you. I will censor you from being anywhere in my vicinity." So what happened was Don Lemon, to his credit, he thought it was all in good fun. So he invited on Larry Wilmore to his show to talk about the so-called controversy that followed after Larry Wilmore ended his bit by saying the N-word. People on the right were feigning outrage, like, how dare you say that word? I'm so offended. Wait, you guys are never offended by it. Now all of a sudden you're supposedly offended by it. Why? Because it's a liberal black guy who said it. And in the vicinity of the president, how dare you? Right, because I'm sure you guys have cared so much about Obama's feelings all along. What a joke it was. So it's just fake outrage. But Don Lemon was going to talk to Wilmore about it on his show, and a producer stepped in at the last second and said, "Nope. Guys, they've become a parody of themselves. If you prod them too much and you offend them and if you hurt their feelings, that's it. That's it. You're off. You're off." And you know what what thought I couldn't get out of my head after reading this story is, we're going to beat them. Like, don't get me wrong, as of right now, we're already kind of beating them in some ways. So, I think it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we compared the numbers of SecularTalk on a day, so for a regular day, a full day, because that's the only way you can get the numbers for YouTube, versus Wolf Blitzer. At the time, he had a 2-hour block in the middle of the day. So we compare, I think it was the key demo, which is, the money-making demographic, young to middle-aged people. We beat Wolf Blitzer in that demo. So we're already kind of beating them in some ways. But now, forget it. If this is how you act, like, somebody said something slightly controversial that pokes fun at us, therefore you're banned and we're not allowing you on the air here. Oh, you're so done. We are going to crush you. We're going to fucking run laps around you. Why would you do that? Because they're all, little prima donnas and, my feelings were hurt because you said something true. And at the end of the day, it's almost like they're acting like state-owned media. That's another thing I couldn't get out of my head. Like, people make fun of RT and make fun of other outlets. They're like, oh yeah, well that's owned by that government, so obviously they're going to be biased and they're going to act ridiculous. Well, in the U.S., it's not like our media isn't owned by establishment elitist pricks. They're gigantic corporations, for fuck's sake. So if the overlords at said corporation have decided to banish you from the airwaves, well, they fucking do it. And you were a little too hard on CNN. Therefore, you are banished. You are dismissed from the club from the inside circle here where we all circle jerk each other because we're so powerful and rich. Now you are dismissed from that club. We let you in for a second to do your White House Correspondents Dinner speech, but you didn't show sufficient deference to us, the powerful, the mighty people. So word came down from the top of CNN, management in CNN, passed it on to the executive producer. They tell Don Lemon, I know it's your show, but I'm not allowing you to do this. And that's where we are today. And also, guys, think about it. Most of the people they've hired because these are people who are not going to rock the boat. And they're not going to question the establishment. And they're not going to go after the fundamental structure and the problems in the structure of the system. So that's why, for example, you have guys like Anderson Cooper. Not just to single out Anderson, because he's just one of many problems over at CNN. But Anderson Cooper said to Howard Stern, I don't vote. Howard's like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Why don't you vote? He's like, well, I wouldn't want to be more in favor of one candidate than another candidate as a journalist and a reporter, so I don't vote. So his philosophy of journalism is he's letting you know neutrality no matter what. Not objectivity, which is different. Objectivity is telling the truth no matter what, no matter how black and white or partisan it may be. No, he's saying neutrality no matter what. So it's always 50-50. The Republicans always have right. The Democrat is always half right. No, you can never say this person's right, this person's wrong. Therefore, evolution versus creationism, I don't know. It's 50-50. Let's debate it. You name it. Hey, did the Bush tax cuts work? I don't know. Have two people on, we'll debate it. Hey, was the Iraq war good? I don't know. Let's have two people on, we'll debate it. 50-50. That's who they want on the air there, because they don't want anybody questioning the establishment and the elites, rocking the boat and saying, hey, iceberg dead ahead. We got fucking problems here, man. Money has totally corrupted our political process. Our government is now owned by big corporations. Oh, you can't say that when you're working for a big corporation, a media corporation at that. So, and they know, man. They know. That's why Wolf Blitzer is where he is. That's why Anderson Cooper is where he is. It's their philosophy of journalism that allows them to be there, because people in power know they're not going to pull a Larry Wilmore. They're not going to get out there and say, this is all bullshit. This is all bullshit. I'm not allowed to be objective. I'm not allowed to really do truth-telling. They know they won't do that. That's why they have those positions. But Larry Wilmore, he was in that inner circle. But then they realized, hey, you're not sufficiently with us, even though his fucking job was to make jokes. And now they go, no, now you're done. Now you're done. And also, final point I'll make on this is people oftentimes, and I think rightfully so, they'll get mad at the left when the left does PC joke outrage. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, that's insensitive. People go, get the fuck over it. This is freedom of speech, free expression. They can say what they want. You don't like the jokes, don't fucking listen. Wouldn't CNN be doing PC outrage here? They're offended. They're being overly sensitive. So now they're banning somebody from their airwaves because, oh, you hurt my feelings. So I want to hear the same cries of this is PC outrage directed at CNN, this major corporation. But that's not going to happen, because the only time you're allowed to make PC criticism is when it's against the left. If it's PC outrage from the right, or if it's PC outrage from a giant multinational corporation and the establishment and elites, nobody says anything about it. Well, Larry, you did a good job, and don't listen to these jackasses. And by the way, we don't need them anymore. It used to be the case that you needed them for access. You don't need them anymore. Now we have the internet. Now we have new media. You think they'd ever let a guy like me on? Never. Never. They would never. So what do? That's fine. I'll go around you. I'm more entertaining than you, and I'm more informative than you any day of the week, so I'll go around you, and I'll build a giant audience that will eventually beat your fucking audience. That's what we're doing now, and they can't fucking stop us, because they are the horse and buggy, and we are the automobile. We're just superior.